The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Tsuburaya Productions. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tokutalk. Marcus and Jacob here to discuss clones. Specifically, clones of Kamen Rider 71. And its imitators that spawned as a result.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say that it's like sort of imitators, but it's the fact that Ishinomori sort of got stuck in doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, fair enough.
And as we talked about, we talked about the Hanna-Barbera clones.
We could talk more about that if you like.
Jabberjaw, the Ghost one.
The Funky Phantom.
The Funky Phantom. All of those really just ended up feeling like Scooby-Doo. Because that's where everything based off of. But everything pretty much only ended up having like one season. Mm-hmm. Except for Josie and the Pussycats. But one of those was in space. So,
they went to space.
But for all of the for all the Kamen Rider 71 clones that came out around this time. We touched on it in the Inazuman one. We talked about a little bit in the Kikaider one. Mm-hmm. But all of those one-off shows really felt like each other.
As I had said in, I believe it was our Kikaider 01 review, there is a reason that Kamen Rider still endures today.
Well,
and we're still getting new Kamen Rider shows.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, we had that break.
We had a break, but, like, we're still getting new Kamen Rider shows today. Yeah. We're getting him on the big screen and the small screen, because, last year we had Shin Kamen Rider, and then we have things like Kikaider, Inazuman, which are denigrated to cameos of, hey, maybe your parents remember this one.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, and that's because Kamen Rider is the only one that was good enough to really resonate and move forward.
And resurrect itself.
Yeah.
Watching those shows, especially so close together like we did, it's so different how they felt like 71 and didn't feel like V3 or Amazon's or X or anything like that. It's like they took Ishinomori took the 71 formula and applied it to Kikaider, to 01 to an extent, to Inazuman. Not so much F. F feels like a different show, at least outside of the actual fight scenes.
I mean, judging from the way that... Because you watched the first two episodes of Flash. I did not. But the way that Inazuman proper ends with that cliffhanger, and it feels like suddenly the tone has completely shifted, where our villain is not like a monstrous being with his hand permanently held in front of his face, Bela Lugosi style. No, it's like a guy. It's a guy with an army of minions. And they look rather intimidating in the position that our hero is in, because he's like wounded and winded after the battle with Big Bad, and all of a sudden, aha, Inazuman, there is but another threat you must face. He's right over there, and it's truly, he's right over there. He comes up the side of the cliff, and he's flanked by an army on either side, just minions everywhere, and it's like, oh no, I feel like things are about to get real.
Yeah.
As opposed to the previous episodes where it was like,
Jokes
and silliness and playground logic and chest. How could I forget chest? How silly of me. But again, like going back to what you said on how they feel like Kamen Rider Ichigo and how they feel like Rider 71. We have like your average guy who happens to be very good at things like athletics and martial arts and is like popular and good in sports and dresses well. And he is either through a mutation or an experiment or his own creation brought into this fold of a battle of good versus evil.
And it really doesn't help that it feels really interchangeable. And you can stick the same guy in both shows.
You could swap the protagonist. Like if you had Kamen Rider Ichigo as the protagonist of Kikaider and swapped him around.
It does not help that Kikaider and Inazuman had the same actor playing the lead character for both. So
that is also true.
Just like I'm watching this again, but with a different skin,
but with a different costume.
And this is one of the problems that you end up seeing the formula copies as well. Even in shows like Gotcha Man and things of that nature, it's just like they always in the same way. And this is much more of a Sentai thing, but like even Go Ranger felt a little bit like 71 in tone in some cases.
Yeah.
And like how the monster was always defeated the same way at the end of each episode.
Yeah.
So it's just like everything felt similar. Everything felt the same. We need the variation, and that didn't come until much later.
Mm-hmm.
Until times got short. And that's how we ended up getting, actual storylines that start to happen. But with Kikaider, it's just like, oh, we did this. Nothing interesting happens in that show until Kikaider shows up.
Mm-hmm. Where we actually give him a foil.
Yeah. We
give him a rival. We give him something to play against. That isn't just another monster going, I'm going to get you, Kikaider, and look out, here comes a pie to the face.
And then, it really just seems becoming, and as I said, I mean, this is the Hanna-Barbera thing where everything started feeling the same. I mean, you even had like the Flintstones and the Jetsons going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And they were basically the same shows.
The modern Stone Age family and the modern future family.
Yeah. So it's just like, this is that. Mm-hmm. These are these two. They're the same thing.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yes, this is why they had that crossover movie.
That they did.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where you're looking at it like... And I think you really saw it on my face as I was talking about both Kikaider 01, and Inazuman.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, I've done this.
Yes.
This is the third time I've done this. And it's like I'm not learning.
We're trapped in a time loop.
Yes.
But
like,
I want to ask you.
First time around, shame on you. Second time around, shame on me. Third time around, shoot me.
Bang. I want to ask you, with because you mentioned the comparison between V3 and Inazuman Flash.
Yeah.
What do you think is the shift? Like, what does change?
The want for growth. You can sort of feel it, especially in V3's case. It's like, oh, we have to have somebody actually trained to do things. Inazuman Flash is like, okay, let's completely change the tone of this and make it a little bit more spy-esque, which was, a very popular thing at the time of that time period. A lot of spy shows, especially on American television. And then, I Know Lucy was a very important show in Japan.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, when it got imported over. It was just one of those things where you're looking at it like, man, you could see exactly where they wanted to go. And this is why even in Sentai, it's just like, pre-Dyna, everything really felt the same. Mm-hmm. Even with, like, we can like things about them. Like, you added a giant robot. That's great. Every other show after that has had a giant robot since.
Yeah.
But they haven't had something that's just like, oh, the consequences of my own actions.
Could you give an example?
Okay. So, Dynaman. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, I'm not going to spoil that because...
Okay, fair enough, because I'm not but so caught up.
Changeman.
As of recording, I'm not but caught up. I think this is going to come out after our review.
Yeah, it will. Changeman, which was a much more, things are happening that really have consequences in the future. Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as in Changeman, when Ahmed shows up, the tone of that show shifts because she hates everyone. And she wants to backstab and, really just play with people's expectations and make herself the strong one in this case. And as soon as she isn't not able to do that, and as soon as she gets defeated more or less, she goes insane and just tries to self-destruct everybody. And you have villains changing sides. Mm. Everything really that came before that, even Bioman to an extent, although Bioman was really good and I would never say that it's not. But Bioman was a lot slower in how things happened. It had a really good end game. But it's like a lot of the build up to that point felt similar. You end up having Dr. Man's son that you end up meeting early, and he doesn't come back for a minute. He's like, okay, I feel like he could have been here longer. And, a big encapsulation of this in regards to the tone is like Changeman, Flashman, and specifically Live Man. I'm skipping over Mass Man because it really didn't do it that well.
Or a Power.
Yeah, or a Power. But yeah, it's just like those three shows specifically is like Soda, who was the writer for all of these, until Inoue came in for Jetman. It's just like I have something that I really want to change with the shortened time frame that we now have. There's a story that can be told, and it doesn't just feel like, things happen to somebody that that the Rangers might know.
Or to one of the Rangers themselves.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's it. We defeated the monster of the week.
Status quo is restored. We move on with our lives until next week.
We did Act 3 with the NECA fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no, in some cases, like now, I'm not going to say so much now, but you end up seeing this. To get away from that clone, just like, okay, you know how Go Ranger's going to go. How Act 1, now Act 2, how Act 3 are going to go.
Yep.
You know how Galaga 5 is going to go. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Especially you start to see it around Live Man, Act 3 gets pushed forward. And it's like they lose with the robot. And then, something else is going to happen later on. Black and Green come in. Or it's just like they're not prepared. They don't have the training at the beginning of the show. I love it when the status quo ends up getting switched up because it doesn't just feel like the same thing over and over again. With V3, it's just like you have him go through basically the entire show as a training arc and getting over his own anger. In Flash, it's just like, this is now a spy show. This is not what we just had. This is
completely different vibe.
Yeah, we no longer have Kamen Rider 71 as just the template that we're just going to copy and paste this actor from Kikaider and from Inazuman onto. And it's weird because eventually we need to put this on the schedule. Ninja Captor. We're going to put that on there too.
I will add it to the list.
That show is that side, not Sentai show that Ishinomori came out with in between Jekka and Battle Fever. Well, I think they aired at the same time, but it's not a Sentai show. It's just Sentai adjacent. There's 7 of them. So, it's just a weird thing. One woman
Indeed.
in that entire game. Weird. It's just those gender ratios are just so off. Yeah.
I guess that'll do it.
Yeah. I'm really happy they've gotten away from the clones, but it's like going through and watching those 3 so close together was a slog. It was the worst of times. It was the worst of times.
Yes.
There was no best.
Yes, it is because it was less of because it kind of evolved into a different kind of cloning, as I've said before. It's we're being iterative of ourselves, of the whole franchise, and less of like the originator. Yeah. Which we have started to break away from. Definitely in Sentai, we've broken away from that.
Yeah. Like, Go Ranger does not feel like Live Man. Or Change Man. Or Dynaman, for that matter.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah. Jesus.
Or Denziman.
Okay. Because I know whenever we do hearing that song, it's like it's over.
It's been in my head for the past couple days. Again. Because why wouldn't it? As I said, we'll be there.
But I know there's like a whole tropes thing, but what is something that you really notice has gone by the wayside on a lot of these clones? With how the shows are structured. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to join us all the things. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.